We're gonna get started here in a second. We're just like
We're just
every
not.
go on Substack Live, it changes just a little bit just to see if we're paying attention, I guess. So this week it
Actually,
looks
it's in
like
the
we're coming back
Bronx.
in.
Johnson's Barbecue in the Bronx. Have you been there, Corey?
No.
It
Uh,
looks amazing.
New York is funny. Like, people don't really go to the Bronx unless they have to.
I've been to the Bronx. I've done Christmas vacation
Yeah,
there
but
when I was in college.
you're not from New York.
I mean, they were from New York. They were Puerto Rican from New York and had the best
There
meal
you go.
ever.
There you go. You're gonna go to the Bronx. They probably got family and friends out there.
It was amazing.
Nobody's
That's
like,
like one of my
"Oh, you know what? I wanna go to the Bronx today." Like,
hey, that was one of my best like college memories.
I
Seriously.
don't no knock on the Bronx. It's just, what the problem with the Bronx is if you're driving there, you gotta go over the bridges and pay tolls, right?
Ugh, okay.
But the freeway to go to the Bronx is you gotta go through Manhattan to go through into the Bronx. So,
Oh, that sounds awful,
and then if you're coming from
actually.
Queens, certain parts of Brooklyn, and you're traveling via train, it might take you almost 2 hours to get there to the Bronx. So it's like, and then certain parts of the Bronx don't have trains, so you have to take the bus. You can get off the train.
God damn. Okay, that's a lot.
So that's why I'm like, nobody really be like, "I'm going to the Bronx," because it's like it's a mission.
Okay,
Okay.
everybody. Uh, Jasmine's like, actually, he's speaking the truth. She's from the Bronx. Well, all I know is
And
I
vice
had a great
versa, right?
time
Like, and it's vice
and
versa
the
for
food
you.
was good.
It's like vice versa. So I go to the Bronx, but I just know when I be like, "Let's go," people be like, it's like a day trip. Like, you wanna go to the Bronx, you
Oh,
wanna plan the whole day.
it's like going in the mountains.
Yeah, it's like that.
All right, everyone. So welcome. We are going to have, I feel like tonight's conversation is going to be like, and so I'm very excited about it. So my name is Michelle Jackson. I am the founder of Creators Getting Paid, where I help creators build brands through collaboration and list building. I also have a website and podcast called Square State Colorado, where I share all things Colorado if you're weirdly interested in it. Corey, what about you?
My name is Corey Gumbs. I'm the founder of the Black Podcast Association, as well as a newsletter right here on Substack called Black Pod News, blkpodnews.com. Um, yeah, welcome to the show.
Angela.
Hey everyone, my name is Angela Hollowell. I'm the writer of two newsletters, Please Hustle Responsibly and Melanin MVP. So if you're a creator, marketer, entrepreneur, or fan of women's sports, my newsletters are for you. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Did I tell you that I went to the PWHL game on Sunday?
You
It
told
was
me.
so good. It was so good. Anyway, today we're talking about haters. And I think haters and the creator economy is a very interesting conversation, especially from the lens that I want to reflect on it because we are all Black people. And we have seen some different things kind of um, happening out in the streets and just in general. So I thought it would be, uh, we all thought it would be an interesting conversation. When we set up our calendar, some of these things hadn't happened that maybe we might discuss. So um, maybe we ask a question first, which is, hey, everyone watching or listening, depends on what you're doing. Have you ever had to deal with haters as it relates to the work that you're building, the projects that you're working on? I would be very curious to know. And for you two, for all of us, when we hear the word haters, like what are our thoughts? What are we thinking?
When I hear the word hater, I'm not necessarily thinking on someone that's hating on me specifically,
Mm.
but definitely someone who's overly critical for no reason or without context, number one. Or number two, someone who's negative for no reason or without context, number two. Um, neither of which add anything positive to the conversation that I may be trying to start online, whether that's on long form or short form, and definitely don't work to help me build a relationship with them because if they wanted to build a relationship, they wouldn't be an asshole. So that's what I did.
What about what about you, Corey? Hate us.
Means I'm doing something right.
Ooh.
It means you love me. Your thoughts and you you're self-projecting. but you love me,
Oh.
and I appreciate it. Thank you for your time and effort and energy.
Um,
Okay.
like, I don't even know where to go with that.
You're jealous, like, you're jealous. Good.
I
You're
just
doing
keep
well.
hearing the song, "Why You're So Obsessed with Me," Mariah Carey.
I think there's 2 sides of it. Like, I think they're, like, where Corey's coming from, where he's like, "Yo, you're obsessed with me." There's probably and I think this is was definitely true on Twitter, is sometimes true on YouTube, probably true in other places where people would, like, repeatedly always be like, "Yeah, I really like this, but maybe you could edit the audio better, or maybe you
Mm,
could have better graphics, or maybe you could do this better." It's like always this like backhanded compliment type shit. And it's like if you were putting out stuff regularly, you wouldn't be critiquing. You wouldn't have time to critique my stuff, number one. Number two, um, why are you always commenting on my stuff? If it's so bad, if it's so sub like why are you always here? First of all. Um, so I think that's if that's what I'm hearing, I feel like that's kind of where Corey's coming from with that. Just people who always have something to say but never have anything to add.
I think that, I agree with both of you guys. I think there's also the people are just they are jealous of your output in some sort of way, like, of whatever it is you're doing. So to your point, they always have something to say. Um, I also think there are just some people who are kind of that way, like, they're just kinda low key hateful. They're just that person that you don't wanna be around because they just have nothing good to say. They're not focused, they're not on it. Um, but there's another group of people that I wanna talk about too within the context of this conversation, like, the people who can't believe that you're getting the results you're getting because they aren't. And I wanna bring those folks up because of what happened last week with Elizabeth Booker. I'm not sure if she goes by a nickname, by the way, but she's a
Goes by
political what?
she goes by badass.
Yeah, well,
She
Uh, so for those of you who might not be familiar with her, she is in the political space. She works with organizations from what I understand. She's on it. She's doing political commentary daily. I follow her, and she's done quite well. What I didn't realize, or maybe I did because last year was a big fog in my brain, she had lost her job last year. And so she ended up she I think she'd been building things obviously and paid for different projects or what have you, but last year was actually ended up being a standout year for her. And so there were other people in the same space, yes, they were, who were really upset when she shared some of her numbers or her income or just like the projects that she's been working on. And so I think that that type of hater is really interesting because I think there's a lot of that low key in the creator entrepreneurship space where because they've never done it, they can't believe that you did it, especially if you're presenting in a way that's different than what they think you could even you know what I mean? Like, if you're black, they're like, "I don't know about that. I didn't do it." So
So so I wanna add a caveat on that, on top of that with her situation, because a lot of it was coming from a lot of it was racism too.
yeah.
The hate that she was receiving based on what she presented out there, a lot of it came from a lot of white critics and a lot of MAGA, right-wing critics as well. So, like, there is and, when we were talking about hate, and I'm like, like, where's the line drawn where something is criticism and when something is hate?
Mhm.
When it's something is genuinely somebody, like, trying to figure something out by questioning or by challenging you, and then when is it hate? Because I think that's also a question that, sometimes gets misconstrued, especially in this day and age of social media and everybody, and the era of self-importance.
I think it's
Yeah.
context, really. Because if I'm critiquing something, then I know the context in which it happened, right? If I'm hating on something, I don't know what it took for you to create this thing. I don't know how long you've been creating. I don't know the evolution of like your journey. I'm probably not even that familiar with the space outside of my own work. So I'm just like reacting to what I see in this one instance. Context looks at like the broader scope of like what happened. And I think criticism actually comes from a place of wanting to help make something better. I think hate comes from a place of just, like, wanting to shit on someone, but that's just me.
Mhm.
So
I mean, hey. I do wanna point out something that Shamiko brought up, which is she shared a clarifying point. Elizabeth didn't lose her job, she actually left. She chose to leave because the administration was anti-science, and so, in good faith, she couldn't continue to work the job under those conditions. So I think that's important. Jermaine is saying people love starving artists. Um, go
I
for it, Corey.
I've always when it comes to black people and
I'm
doing
sorry. I'm sorry,
I'm gonna
continue.
say this because this has been something I've been saying for years.
Okay.
I call it the Jeesification of black people.
Mhm.
Mm,
And what happens is when we start to build businesses, when we start to build certain things that start to get us to certain levels, there's a lot almost like especially if you're doing something that's very community forward, there's an expectation that you're not supposed to make money doing it. You're supposed
mhm,
to be, being poor as as a sign of being humble and all that stuff. When in all actuality, money is in order to do good, you need money, you need resources, you need income, you need revenue, you need things so that you can pay people to do the work. You need money so you can pay for the equipment, so you can pay for the services, so you can do these things. And I think sometimes that's where a lot of it comes from too, where it's like a cultural belief that especially like in Elizabeth Booker's case, where she's very black forward, very community forward, and she's working with these organizations and candidates to help get the message across, to get people more civically and engaged, and she's commanding her worth for it. And it's
mm.
like you love to sit here and say, "Come get your, grab your worth," but then when somebody's doing it and you see it, you're like, "Holy crap." But a lot of times we're, the jealousy of like people making money is you're not even asking for the right amount of money in the first place, so you don't even know, or you don't even know your value. So you see somebody like her doing it, coming quote unquote out of nowhere doing it, even though her resume is ridiculous, like what she's
Yeah.
for herself. It's like, no, this is just another step in that political sphere that you wind up getting into anyway, being a lawyer and specifically involved. So it's like, yeah, like you're not you don't even know what you're worth. And I mean, I make that mistake sometimes too, right? Like you'll sit here and say, "Oh, I'll charge you this," and somebody be like, "Oh, I thought it was going to cost me X, Y, and Z," and I was just like,
Oh, that's so
like, yeah,
painful.
so. But I've also learned to like for when I do stuff, I've also learned to just ask what people's budgets are because then I work from there because I don't want to talk myself out of I don't want to undercut myself, but I think a lot of, especially creators that are getting into the space that have been doing it for a number of years and struggling, they don't know how to capture their worth. And then when they see somebody, they kind of get jealous of it because they're like, "Well, I've been doing this. Why isn't it resonating?" And it's really is a self projection of like how they see themselves, in my opinion.
What about, that time when we went live and that person, like, hopped on and then went out of their way to be like, "This isn't for me," and both you and I were like, "Bye." Like, so what about that type of
Well,
hater
social
who
media, content creation, cameras, lights, phones, even like watching this political climate and how people react and how they discuss things. Um, I hate to use the narcissist word because it gets used so inappropriately in so many different ways. But it's a level of self-importance, and I will always credit Oppenheimer when he told like, when Oppenheimer was out here just being himself in the movie, and the guy pulled him to the side and was like, "Yo, you're not just you're not self-important, you're actually important. You can't be doing these things and bringing this attention if you wanna be a part of the project that, we're on." And I think for me, that was like am I still here? Can you guys see me? Because for some
Yeah.
reason
Yeah, yeah, you're
okay.
fine. Yeah.
'Cause, I think for me, that was a moment when I was like, social media and a lot of this thing, everybody thinks their viewpoint is important. Everybody thinks what they have to say is important. Everybody thinks whatever they think is important, and a lot of times you're not. And that's why I say self-projection because there's a
Mm,
void somewhere in the person in their life, whether it's they're not being listened to by a spouse or their family or not respected at work or whatever self-esteem issues. And this is a space that they think they can come in and find and fill that void. And then when they realize the void doesn't fill is not filled because nobody cares about what you have to say, or you're not saying it, in a way that resonates with people, because that's the other part, right? I think that's where the hate starts to to fester. Like, I watch a lot of Star Wars, so like You start I don't understand, but I think it comes from a place of I'm self it's really comes from self-importance. That's why I was like, I can't wait to have this conversation because
Yeah, but some people are just assholes, okay? So today
yeah, but there's
I'm
a
kinda
reason
low
for all
key.
behaviors.
Wait, wait,
Now you're
wait,
going into
wait, wait.
there's a reason for all behaviors, and usually it comes from a place of I was never important in other people's lives, so now I'm gonna be an asshole.
Whatever. All I know is today I'm mad
Hating.
because there are 3, journalists. They had all these things that they could research, right? Instead, they were like, "You know what? There's all these things that we could figure out, but we're gonna figure out who Banksy is." If you guys are familiar with the
How we
prolific
figured that out?
artist who does what?
I thought that was figured out like 10 years ago.
No, there's a whole thing, I ignored it, but people are pissed. They are really, really pissed. People are actually, uh, getting rid of their subscriptions to Reuters because 'cause they're Reuters, journalists, like, I'm pissed. I'm like, "Why? Like, can we not have whimsy?" Like, sometimes people are just assholes to be assholes. This is my point. Like, there's a billion and one things that are really begging to be researched. Why are we researching Banksy? No one asked for that. No one asked for who that man is or woman, whomever. Don't tell me in the chat. I still don't know who it is. I don't know. So
Well,
so I think some people, they just wanna be that person, right? And they pissed us off, I'm just saying. So I think
I
there's all
don't
kinds
understand
of
why
ways
people
to be
pissed off
haters.
about that.
Huh?
I don't understand why people pissed off. Reporters are supposed to report on various different things, so
It's not because sometimes we're allowed to have a whimsical thing. In a shitty timeline that we're in, sometimes not everything has to have the mask taken off, right? It's like figuring out who Darth Vader is. No, I don't like Darth Vader. It's like figuring out who, like, your favorite superhero is, if they were real, and then outing them to the world. Sometimes not everything has to be known in the way that I think, these days it's like, you're Gen X, for the love of God, all the things that you did in life that will never come to light because of technology. That's a beautiful thing. That is a beautiful thing.
I
People hate the
the Mandela
audacity of
effect,
being authentic.
I could have sworn Banksy was outed like 10 years ago, so, like, I didn't know that was a thing.
No,
I didn't know people cared anymore.
I
they
think people care now because people are trying to come to terms with the fact, and I say people, most people already knew this, but many people are now coming to terms with the fact that art is political, and
mhm.
they probably wanted to out this person to, feed into the political climate that is happening globally right now. Um, but
Yeah.
This is good because I also think, like, because of, clickbait and the way the news cycles go right now, and because, like, I think just hating in general it's like the media tries to keep you in perpetual hate mode,
Mhm.
and it's like what is it, like the like Michelle's probably gonna get this one. It's like the nothing, right? Like
Oh,
like how it just keeps
the
growing and
never-ending
growing. Yeah, the never ending story. It's
story.
like it just keeps growing and growing because people keep feeding into it, and then
Yeah.
it's like it just becomes like you're just hating on music, now you're hating on movies, now and you just it's there's no stop to it because you're just constantly being bombarded with clickbait and this and that and these hot takes and different and these counterpoints and all these different things. You're never given a chance to try truly rest, and then you become so fatigued that you just want to cut the cord across the board. And this is the one time when they like hate festers and it just starts to come out in different places. And if you're in a creative space, and I always tell these people this too, creative people are selfish. It's like you're the center of the world when it comes to your creativity, right? So when you see other people kind of doing things or doing stuff like, and you're not seeing the same success when you've been putting in the work, it's kind of like, it's also, well, it depends on the type of person, but it can kind of fester inside of you, and then eventually it'll start to leak out and start showing itself in maybe a comment or a critique or how's your little business going, like stuff like that. And then if it goes unchecked, then it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So
I think that you're touching also on a lack of self-awareness maybe, and just emotional awareness. Like, I think it takes a lot of um, emotional strength to just be like, this is the journey I'm on. What other people are doing is what they're doing. And I don't even have the capacity to be hating on their journey because it's their journey, right? And I think in these creator economy businesses, I really wish that the talking point around the amount of time it takes to achieve the end goal, to hit the success that people are finally achieving. I wish people would talk more about it takes time. It's not fast. People sometimes go back to work. They do other things and then they just keep grinding it out. I feel like with singers in particular, you hear a lot of, well, they started when they were 4, you know, but with this new economy, you know, uh, business or area of focus that people have, you're just not hearing that, I think, often enough. And so people have these very unreasonable expectations of themselves, as well as, like, they're not critically asking, "Huh, I wonder how long that person's been doing XYZ. I wonder if it was, they got their success because of who they know or what." They don't know. Like, they're not asking all those questions because we're human. A lot of times we react emotionally. So, I'm wondering, have you guys ever accidentally found yourself being a hater? Not like oozing hate, but like, "Oh," like, "I'm grumpy because this other person is doing XYZ." Like, has that ever come up?
No.
Yeah, I was about to say
I
no.
don't I don't hate on I hate you because I don't like you, period. So I just want I'm like I'm kinda like I always tell people like, I'm from this neighborhood, so I'm like 50 Cent, like, I understand 50 Cent, like, I'm like, if I don't like you, I don't care, you could solve cancer, I'm still gonna hate on you, I don't like you, but see, it's also a sign of aggression, right? It's like, I wanna hate on you because I want you to respond so I can respond back to you in whatever way I feel like responding back to you, right? But I don't hate on people's success. I'm competitive, so I look at it like, okay, you did it. Well, let me see. Either I can do it better, or I think also I know my limitations. I know what I'm good at and what I'm not good at. So like,
Mhm.
I'm not gonna hate on somebody because they're good at basketball because I suck at basketball. I set picks, I get rebounds. That's what I'm on the court for. And if you need a man to sweep the leg, I'm the guy you call, right? But after that, do not give me the last shot. Don't expect me to dunk the ball. Don't expect I might have a little post game only because size is on my side and I know I have footwork, but don't put the ball in my hands if you expect me to score all the time. Like it's not gonna happen. And I'm not gonna hate on people who are better than me because I never put forth effort into trying to get good at basketball. I played basketball because my friends did, but I preferred baseball and football. Those were the sports I really enjoyed playing. So like even in this content creation space, like I don't get jealous of somebody's success, or feel like I'm hating on them or look at them like in a judgmental way or anything like that because if I want to do what they're doing, I'm going to challenge myself to either do it better or even if I can't achieve what they achieve, I'm going to be satisfied on how I did it.
I think I have maybe 2 kind of, like, quotes for this. One of them is from Cat Williams when he was on the
Oh,
Shannon Sharp
shit.
show, when he was like, "I'm not a hater, there's nobody else that has a life that I want."
Right.
Mm,
And it's like, that kind of stems from, like I wouldn't say it stems from, but Ryan Holiday basically has a similar quote where it's like, "You can't just take one part of someone's success and exchange it for your own, like, you have to exchange their entire life, and a lot of times the people that have the success that you think you want don't have the life that you want, like, they don't spend time with their family, they don't really take vacations, they don't
mm,
have a healthy relationship with their phone, they don't have good eating habits because 'cause they're stressed all the time, like, you can't just trade, let's say, somebody who has a really big podcast that makes millions of dollars with your podcast that maybe doesn't, you have to take on, like, their whole life. Um, and I just, like, try to think about it like that. And maybe I've always thought about it because, like, even when I first started freelancing, like, I'm trying to look for examples of people who are doing it really well, who are making money, who are full-time creators. A lot of them were not great creators, they were great at business, right? And I was like, well, I want to be great at creativity and great at business. So like, how do I find like what things can I learn from them? I think also like when you're in like truly in community with people who are in this space, and I'll talk specifically about podcasting because that's probably what most people here are. But like when I look at people who are my level or ahead, it's like, yo, the people that are really making money, they barely own their show. It's like just being pumped with ads. It's owned by a network or a streaming service. Um, they don't really have a whole lot of control over the show. The people that have a high quality show that are indie, they're like breaking even. So it's still a grind for them. Like you can't just trade out the parts that look good. You have to be okay with all of it. And I think the more you know about an industry is the more to understand that we're all just like doing the best we can with what we have. And like your best is going to look different from somebody else's, and that's okay. Um, and I think I would just encourage other people too, like going back to what Corey was saying about like allowing some of your inner thoughts to come out in petty ways. That's insecurity, is what that is. You're not secure about where you are as an artist or a creator. And you're taking that out on other people who are seemingly secure about what they are, what they're creating, what they're doing, how their life looks, all the things. Um, yeah, I mean, I think, part of me just being a creator is just understanding that it's like my journey is my own.
Mm, mhm.
And I also, like, find it hard to envy other people because I know that my publishing cadence is very hard to replicate, and the quality of what I put out is very so, like, as far as I'm concerned, I'm big dog. Y'all gotta catch up to me. I really don't care. So
You
so
gotta do this, son.
so, yeah.
For me, I just feel like I have only so much life energy. So to spend it hating on other people unless they're like Nazis seems like a waste of my time, right? Like if you're a Nazi, I hate your guts, and I have a bottle of champagne in my fridge, chilled, ready to go for a certain moment. But other than that, I'm not gonna like if you irritate me, I'm just gonna ice you out. Like I'm not gonna spend a lot of time on like exchanges back and forth with people. I block people fast, but I also just have to check in with myself. Like I think being an adult in a creative space is means that you have to really manage self, right? And I think that that is something that a lot of people have a hard time doing these days. I think being self-aware we're about to learn what
Sorry. I'm trying to answer that question, but you're typing. Sorry. My
well,
bad.
all I hear
I
is
forget that y'all can hear that. My bad.
um that's a lot by the way.
I know.
Just
I'm
side note.
sorry.
Um, so I just don't I'm disinterested, quite frankly, completely disinterested in being a hater on other people. I just feel so happy lifting people up. I love like happy people around me. I love connecting them, the people I love and care about to cool opportunities. Like I don't know why there's this feedback. I just don't want to is it my mic or I just don't want to waste my limited time on bullshit. So like people like who's that lady who keeps fussing with Cardi B? What's her whoever that lady is.
Okay. But her business is to hate on people.
Who,
But it's
Candace
not
Owens?
working for her.
Oh,
like
clearly.
like she's going to go to jail. Be hateful and crazy. All these people being hateful, bad vibes all around. I don't wanna be around them. They probably eat spit burgers all the time because people spitting in the food.
Uh,
Like, cause people who are like that, it's not just with one set of people, okay?
right, across the board in your life.
It's across the board. That's how their lives are,
Mhm.
right? So this is why I try to I just try to be nice. If I don't like you, I'm not going to be engaging. I'll be polite and I'm out. And then I'll avoid you like the plague. But I'm not going to be talking about people behind their backs. Anything I say about you, I will say if I say it to you guys, I would say it to the person. Like I that's just the rule. So if something they're like, "Oh my god, Michelle, yes, I did say that. I meant what I said." Like, I just try to run my life in a way that, there's no confusion and it's a lot easier for me. That's why I get a lot of free stuff and find money and get connected with opportunities because 'cause I'm not being an asshole, and
Just
it is
right.
wild to me. Huh?
Treat people right.
You just treat people right. It's wild to me, all these people who are just so invested in the just living their lives in the opposite way. It ages you, first of all, it does. And it just cannot it's not sustainable. Ultimately, to be that way is not sustainable. You cannot live like that in perpetuity. You will be alone. You know what I mean?
So can we
And also,
touch
if
on
you're
that
working,
for
it's too much time. It's a
This,
waste of time.
sorry, Angel, you were
Go ahead.
saying what?
Yeah, I was just gonna touch on, like, the fact that there are people that basically get paid to be professional haters. I don't but I'm very curious on, like, what the number is. Like, for example, like, maybe the first one that comes to mind, especially recently, is Candace Owens. Like, she got on Don Lemon's show, and he was like, "Do you think it's a sin to be gay?" And she was like, "Yes, I think you're living a sinful life. Like, I don't even recognize that you're married because in my mind and according to the Bible, marriage is between a man and a woman, so I don't even, like, recognize that you're married." How big of, like, an asshole do you have to just be, like, openly homophobic to someone's face? Like, randomly, like, why are you on his show if you don't, like, even see the humanity in this person? But, like, this isn't new for her. She's been doing this type of stuff for, like, years, and I personally just wanna know how much it pays. I'm not saying I would switch if it paid more to be a hater, but I am saying I'm curious on what the general sellout number is. I'm just trying in this economy, you gotta explore all your options. I'm good.
Paperwork of Shapiro Company, look at Tucker Carlson, look at all
Daily Mail,
Daily Mail, like, just
all
look up
those
their
people focused on
look at
Meghan
their
Markle and
contract. It
Harry
tells you how much they
making
get.
money.
It tells you how much they
But
get. How much is the
is
asking
it
price initially? It's whatever you decide, I guess.
I just think the click per meal or whatever has got to be good because Harry and Meghan are actually a great example of people who are like unbothered, living in California with the rich people, glowy. Clearly, they're happy as they are. That woman is never, like that Billy Porter, like never, never. She is never going to step foot on UK British soil again. She's never gonna go to England again. If I'm her, I would never. I'd be like, "Fuck you, people." Anyway, pardon my language. So the amount of media related content specific to those two, to this day, on a daily basis, where these they're racist. Like it's very obviously a lot of racist uh undertones is just very obvious. I'm like, how much money are you making off these people who haven't even touched foot in your country since COVID? It is almost 2027. How much were they making when they were in the UK? I cannot imagine how good hate pays because these people are still locked in
You
to
know,
this day.
I mean, hate is expensive. Hate is expensive, and hate also the problem with hate, like that kind of hating content, is you got to constantly keep at it. You can't stop. You got to
Yeah.
constantly put yourself in people's thoughts and that echo chamber that you help people to get into. That's why Fox News does the way it does. That's why a lot of these news media. I mean, I have somebody I went to high school with where she's built her career in politics and as a spokesperson on this. I watched it from over the past 5 years, and it's like I almost commented on her Facebook post because I was like, "Last week it was Cuba, this week is this, now this week coming up is what now? What's new on your news cycle? Because you're acting like a week ago Venezuela was just disappeared." It's like you constantly keep going on and on about things so that you can stay in the limelight. But so they make a lot of money, but it's also very expensive because then there's a lot of lawsuits or stuff like that. So like as Alex Jones learned that lesson the hard way. Um,
Uh,
you know, but I mean, there's studies out there that tells you the cost of how much, like I will say racism, but I'll lump that into hate. How much hate actually costs the economy. right?
Mm.
And how much it affects politics, how much it affects a lot of our daily lives in regards to that the business side of it. But it all of this made me also think about the movie Amadeus, right? And a lot of times, you ever saw it?
Tell us more. Tell us more. It's been a minute.
It was about the guy. It was about when Mozart was dying, and it goes through the story about how his competitor. It was fictional character, competitor, uh, composer, like how they had this relationship over years, and they were like one up. He couldn't understand how this cretin of a person, Mozart, was so successful, and he thought his music was so beautiful. And then towards the end of the movie, when Mozart is dying, he comes to him and asks him to help him finish writing it. And as he's reading it, he realized how beautiful it was, and it was a moment of clarity for him to realize how much he sucked. And I think that's where a lot of the hate comes from too. And people. I think people hate because they look at themselves. They realize how mediocre or how much they're bad at what they're trying to do, and instead of just admitting to themselves, like, "Yo, like I'm not good at this. Maybe I need to pivot or try something new or do something different." It's the world's fault, right? It's this person's fault or it's that fault or it's whatever. And it's a lack of accountability. It's self esteem issue. So, um, that's why I'm like, that's why I enjoy hate because that just tells me automatically you suck, and like sharks in water. When you smell blood, it's like, let's go. All right, there we go. I found one. Now I know who to piss off, and just got because like what he did in the movie, he just kept doing stuff to piss the dude off even more, and the more he hated, the less his talent came out. But he was
And
unbothered. Mozart was unbothered by it.
this
I
is
think
random, but I want to add it to your things to watch. I'm watching young Sherlock right now. It is
Oh,
very good.
I
Okay,
love
it
that.
is very good, and it's interesting because it's Sherlock and Moriarty are friends. So I think it's gonna like the end will be how they stop being friends. So anyway, that's on your list.
You gotta
Movies with
see
Corey.
Sidebar, if you wanna talk about more movies, you gotta see, Project Hail Mary. Woo!
I heard that's really good,
Yeah.
actually.
You should see it in
Okay,
IMAX if you can.
okay, it's on my list.
Yeah. But, yeah, I think, a lot of it that's why I say self-projection because it's like you're looking at a mirror of what you can't do.
Woo. There's a little boy who's a little black kid. He's adorable. He's a Mensa member, and he said that he's talking about mirrors. Okay, he said that if you look in a mirror, you see other possibility. You connect with other possibilities of self. I'm gonna find the quote while you guys keep talking, but I was like, maybe you're looking in the wrong mirror if you're so focused on other people. A mirror. Shamiko's saying a mirror of what you can't. What you. I
That's
think
what
it's
it
what
is.
you can
I
do.
love Shamika
Actually.
No, that's what
right
I think.
now. Shamika's on one
Let me
tonight, but
I love it. I love it. But let me find it because he was so cute. Go for it, guys.
yeah, I wanted to touch on something. I think there's like I don't feel like I receive like direct hate, maybe in the way that Corey does, but I definitely feel like I feel like one way that I know that I'm doing something right is that people will copy things that I do, or they'll try to copy things that I do and, like, not credit me, which I think is interesting. I feel like 'cause like, people will ask me too, like, for example, I put it out there that I was gonna be doing a book club series for February, and I was gonna be doing one for women's sports, so I have a couple books on women's sports, I'm gonna be doing that next.
Mhm.
And there's a very I'm not gonna say no names, but a very popular journalist who published a book, and I reached out to her for a copy of one of her books. And instead of responding to me, she went to Threads and says, "Hey, I wanna start a book club. Who would be interested?" And, like, my homegirl that I talked to it about, she knew, and she screenshot it. She's like, "Angela, what the fuck?" And I was like, "Yo, I don't know." But I know she got it from my email because she wasn't talking about that prior to this. And she was like, "Are you pissed? Like, should I block her?" And I was like, "No, no, it's fine." Like, I'll know that I have bad ideas when people stop trying to copy my ideas as their own.
Ooh.
And, like, that's how I think about, like, that to me and I get that's not even the first time that's happened, but, like, other people, like, when I was posting really heavy on LinkedIn, all of a sudden they start posting really heavy on LinkedIn and, like, copying, like, the cadence of my videos. They start copying the way that I start writing posts. They start copying what I did, like, custom carousels, like, all these types of things. I'm like, "I know for a fact you weren't doing this until you saw me doing it, but it's cool. I'm not even gonna call you. I'm gonna be nice. I'm gonna be
So
nice."
I like when people copy me because one,
It's imitation.
Not
It
even
is.
that. One is, you know, and, like, to what Angela's saying, like, because you're copying me, it's not sustainable for you.
No,
Ooh.
it's
Because
not.
you didn't take time to really think about the idea, how you're gonna do it, your audience, different things that goes into executing the idea. It's like, "Oh, that's a cool idea, let me do it," right? You just jump in the pool and you try to learn how to swim as you're doing it. But, you know, you know, when I used to manage a team, I used to always say to people like, you know, if you could take my job from me, then you deserve it because that means
Mm,
I slipped up. And I look at it like my ideas. If you can take my ideas and you know, if you can take something I do and you can do it better than me, then you know, oh, thank you, right? Because that means I didn't do something right, or I messed up somewhere, or even if maybe I didn't see it a certain way, right? Like that's fine. And I know people because people see that kind of stuff and like, oh, they hating on me, or they did it, and they internalize it, and it throws you completely off your kilter, right? I'm just like, well, so then it's up to me to decide, okay, this person took my idea, they executed it, they did it better than I would have done it. Do I want to compete or do I be just, you know, give a round of applause and move on. And this is why I encourage my friends with their kids to get them into sports, especially sports for individualized sports like tennis or swimming or something like that, judo or any of those things, because you have to learn to like you're saying, Michelle, you have to learn to master those emotions for when somebody comes and does something better than you or something or is hating on you because that happens in sports all the time, right? That's you know, we call it shit talking, right? You know, all that stuff,
Mhm.
right? Um, or they get better credit because you know you said you know you came into the market first, but they came behind you and they just improved on what you did, aka Kobe, right? Like you know,
Oh,
so it's like, but you can't take away what they did, you know, what they did with that talent. So like, I look at it like you gotta just chalk it up, give them the win if they did win against you, if you internalize it that way. And then just find you if you have one good idea, you probably have plenty of other good ideas that you can do. But I just think when somebody takes an idea simply because they thought it was a good idea, I don't think it's sustainable for them because they didn't take the time and effort to really put forth the thought and the work that needed to be done to execute it to keep it sustainable.
you know what I think about also is many people will work on the same idea. And an example of that is coffee shops. How many of them are there? Burger joints. How many of them are there? Like chicken places. How many of them are there? That it's like spending the time to figure out what makes yours actually unique. Like maybe it's the service, maybe it's the spice blend, maybe it's the size of the place that you're opening up. Maybe it's the you know the thing that you host every Tuesday. Maybe it's the newsletter that you send out with like once a month you have a golden ticket for a thing. And so it's like you can implement the same exact idea, but it's like the how is what's always going to differentiate you from so you can copy, but but sometimes it's not even copying unless you're doing exactly what the other person did. And hopefully you're not. But I'm just saying like every person who opens up a freaking burger joint, I haven't been to In and Out yet. I'm not excited about it. I mean, I'm sure when I go to California one day I'll do it again, but I'll go and have one. But why? Because there's so many burger places. I'm burgered out. Okay. Like
Well,
there's
I
a
think
really
like
funny hamburger. You know that movie? I'll have to send it to you, Corey. The burger. Sorry.
it's
Very
okay.
funny.
So really quick, I do want to say like there's no problem with like competition. Like
Yeah.
competition is going to exist and ideally competition makes you better, especially when people have two separate lanes. Like better even if they're in the same space. Like I think that's a good thing. Like there's nothing wrong with competition. What I'm saying copying what I'm doing. Like I know. Like I've literally and this was early days on Facebook when I would like share my work in Facebook groups, people would copy my captions bar for bar,
God
word for
Yeah,
word
damn.
that's weird to me.
and
That's
then, like,
wild.
post it with their work, and I was like, you can't even think about how to market your own work without copying what I said, but,
Mhm.
like, you see that it's working, so you're doing that. That's what I mean by copying, and then, like,
That's
even on
wild.
LinkedIn, like, when I started sharing my podcast clips and, like, actually making trailers for it, and I was like, "Oh, now a certain person is doing that, trying to copy the textile, trying to copy everything, trying to copy, like, the way that I write the captions, which I would, like, write one that was kind of, like, similar style for each podcast because I was, like, so consistent. It's like, I'm not naive. I know where you got this, first of all.
That's right,
Um,
Stephanie.
so yeah, people are stalkers, and I'd literally have people, like, early days, they'd be like, "Angela, you need to block these people because they're just, like, copying you," and it's like, if they wanna make money from their stuff, cool, but they need to figure it out on their own.
But you know what's crazy about that? Like, even their audiences know that's not them.
Oof.
Yeah.
And that's why it's like I was saying, it's not sustainable because of it starts to not be it starts to like, I always joke around with my friends when I see them on, like, I'm like, "Bro, I saw that on Threads, like, now you're on Facebook quoting word for word, when I first saw that 'clock in the morning," like, "Come on, bro." And I'll send my friends messages like, I've seen that already on LinkedIn and TikTok and all these other places, right? Like, stop doing that. And, some people are like, "Well, I just like the quote," but you're like, stop doing it, right? You just making yourself look stupid because people are talking about you behind your back. We're
Yeah.
Mhm.
we're not laughing with you, we're laughing at you.
Woo! Yes.
Yo, there's some comments, people are, like, literally saying I should call them out. I probably should, but I just
Call them out. And I don't know why people have a problem. Well,
Sometimes
and
I
some
just
of
don't
them
even
some
have
of
the
them
energy
know,
to
which is
I
on
have
LinkedIn,
I
some of
don't
them
want
I
you to
know,
call
which is
people out.
crazy.
I want you to say something.
no, I
Um,
just don't even
you know,
so
no, but I think that, and I'm with Larry on that, and I think maybe that's a generational thing too because I come from an era where you call people out for like in rap, like if you was biting somebody's style,
Yeah,
you got diss track, historical diss track made on you for that, right? Like,
yeah.
and it was embarrassing. It was like, and I think because and I think one reason why we see proliferation of hate too is there's no shame anymore. Right? You don't really
Mm.
see people anymore for the things that they say or what they do or the stupidity or how they act and all that stuff. And that goes to like calling people out. Like everybody's like, "Oh, I don't that's too much energy." And it's like, no, sometimes you need to say, "What are you doing? I did this. I want my credit." Because as creators, you have to protect your IP. You have to protect
Mm.
what you're doing. And if you're being nonchalant, and that's even in courts, if you're being nonchalant about it and you're not making an effort to protect it, guess what the courts say? Well, now it becomes public. Now it's for the public.
I think for me to call someone out, you have to really piss me the fuck off. So if you guys ever see me call someone out, it's like I will do, you know how Cardi B jokes about she'll go to hell and lava? That, like, I'll be that mad. But it takes a while for me to get that mad. That's the problem.
I think that's
Like,
true.
I'm very
I'm not
nice until I'm
upset.
mad.
You're a
Huh?
big real big Cardi B fan because I have no idea what you're talking about. Because I'll be
I don't
listening.
See,
either. Hold on.
there's a very interesting interview that she did, how she's talking about how Michelle Obama is like, "When they go high or when they go low, I go high," or whatever, and Cardi's like, "No, I go to hell.
Yeah,
I would,"
New York,
you know what I mean? And I'm
yeah, New York
backwards.
thing too because we all say
Yeah,
that. I
I will
know
go to
well.
hell. I will take you to hell and back and leave you there. So if you see me call someone out, they have pissed me off. So I just don't get mad fast like that. But when I do, it's bad.
So
Uh,
really quick, I wanna go to the comments here. James Ratliff says, "The problem we have is lack of competition. 6 corporations own the TV and most of the news. The meat packing, the monopolies are just crazy." Shamika says, "Bring back respect for intellectual property." Now y'all got me thinking about how to protect my IP. I need to get better at that. Michael says, "I got some folks that steal my content. It's pretty hard to prove sometimes." This is why I wanted to go back because my thing about proving it is by the time that they've tried to recreate
That's right, Shamika.
what I've done, I'm already moved on to the next iteration of how to make it better because I'm learning from what I've put out and what people are responding to and how to make it better.
right.
So it's like by the time you copy it, yes, I peep it. Yes, I know. I'm already aware, but I'm also like on to the next thing. So the thing about copying too, imitating, whatever you want to call it, is like you gotta keep up with my cadence. That's why I say, like,
That's right.
my publishing cadence is so fast, and it's like I'm a very data-driven person. So if something works and something doesn't, or if something gets really good results or a lot of replies, I'm trying to reiterate that and make it better.
Mhm.
Um, or like gets me whatever the case is. And so like I'm already moved on to the next thing. So like by the time you try to copy it, it's like if you're gonna copy someone, you have to keep
Keep up
copying
with
them.
me.
Yeah, you have to keep up.
You
in
gotta
order
think
for it to
too at
really
that point.
seem like it
Yeah,
genuinely came from you, you know?
and
In
it's
order for
you can't sustain that.
it's not sustainable. It's not. And a lot of people burn out. Like a lot of people, again, like we have conversations about what we use to host our newsletter a lot. And there have been a lot of people who ask me about Beehive. And I'm like, I'm trying to be as honest as I can about who I think Beehive is for and like
Mhm.
how great newsletters have been for my business, our business, all those types of things. But then like there's so many people that like, oh, Angela started a newsletter. I should start a newsletter. And then like 3 months in, they get burnt out. Like, the cadence is a lot for people. I think it's hard to sustain something that really doesn't feel like it's something you genuinely want to do, and it's something that naturally comes to you. I feel like not enough people sit with, "Well, what am I good at, and what do I like to do?" long enough.
Mhm.
They just sit with, "Oh, that video looks really pretty. That photo looks really pretty. That graph of them growing their newsletter looks really pretty and people are responding to it and it seems like they're getting business from it. Like, I want that success or I want to copy that and I want to feel good about my work instead of saying, like, well, what work makes me most proud? What work am I best at? Like, am I willing to do it for free for a long time until it starts to get traction and make money? Like, am I really willing to learn how to market it until it gets good and like gains the audience and income that I want? Like, not enough people sit with that question. They just want content to be this quick thing. And like the way that I know that is because I still, to this day, get people hitting me up about like, oh, hey, Angela, can I like repurpose your podcast clips? Can I do, hey, you're doing everything everybody else is already doing. Like, you're still looking at podcasts as this quick way to make money and, like, repurpose content and make video
Mm.
content instead of, like, actually looking at it as a medium that should serve part of your business or your creative pursuits, whatever that may be. So, yeah, I don't know. The copying, the imitating, like I said, I see it, I peep it. I'm clocking y'all because I know y'all ain't got nothing on me, but but I don't get mad because I know they can't sustain what I'm doing because I care more about what I'm doing, and they just care about the money. So that's
Ooh,
just me.
Michael just said, "I had someone turn one of his videos into a full AI video." Oh,
Th
hell
that's
no.
different. That's different. That's out of pocket.
Wow. That's egregious.
Yeah.
I will say though, one thing that is important, I think, in this conversation around not copying, but maybe even experimentation as you learn, um, what fits you best as a creator. I think all of us go through a probably a prolonged period of time where we're testing things out, right? So, like, I was a freelance writer for a really long time, and there was a point where I was like, "You know what? I don't enjoy this." And I also am thinking that, this is an industry that's gonna be really hard to be in, because there's a lot of headwinds, so I dipped out. One of the best things I could have done, I could have tried to force it, but it wasn't a good fit for me, but I'm glad that I did it because, I know how it works. I know how it works in a lot of creator businesses, but it's not for me. I tested out, high ticket coaching. It's not for me. I don't wanna be available like that to people, but I wouldn't know that that was an issue if I hadn't tried it. So I do think, people may like, there's all these things that you could do within your brand, and especially as you're building it out, you're gonna test them all out within reason. And then it's weird because the what I dreamed of doing in the beginning is what I ended up working on now. So, like, I did a circle and I'm back at where I started, but I'm glad that I did the journey because now I really understand what makes me tick and what allows me to thrive and what I'm excited about, and that's why I'm able to produce content in the way that I do, at the cadence that I do, and I think cadence is a huge, huge conversation, before we started, I was telling, um, Angela and Corey that I wanted to I think just Angela actually, that I'm thinking about doing a YouTube challenge. I've seen people do these challenges, and, I have been inspired by these people to do a challenge. It's not like I've watched their challenge, I just know that they've done one. How I'm gonna do one is gonna be different because I have no idea what they've done. I just know the framework of what they've done. So, it's not to say that you shouldn't, um, do what you hear other people
Oh, Michelle froze.
She'll be back. Oh, there she well, okay,
Mhm.
so we're still live without her. Okay, that's cool.
That's interesting.
They're
Can
like,
we
"Y'all are
add
here?"
her?
You might have to.
I don't know how. Uh,
Sorry, she was the one who's hosting this live today, so I don't know. We're this is a first.
yeah.
Um,
Hopefully she'll just come back. I
yeah.
don't know.
While we wait for her, I do have a question. Well, I wanted to say, um, you had said something and it struck a chord with me that I wanted to say something, but I kind of want to ask a question to shift the conversation a little bit, right? Because we've been talking about haters, right? But what do you recommend or what are your suggestions for content creators who are receiving the hate? Because I tend to find that a lot of people take it personally, right? We see like real big content creators. They won't read the comments. They'll block or they'll moderate whatever tools the platform they're on gives them to moderate it. But how do I kind of have an idea how you do, but like what would you recommend? How do you personally like internalize the hate that you may be receiving from people, and how does it because you don't want it to affect your day to day. So like, what would be some recommendations to anybody watching that might be feeling a certain way about the hate they're receiving? That you can recommend?
Yeah. Normally, I would say it depends on how I'm feeling that day because there have been times where I've crashed out in the comments a few times. Um,